Welcome to the 32nd episode of the Daft Previews podcast. Our very first episode of 2022. In this episode, we'll be previewing the NRL All-Stars match, sharing our thoughts on the new rule changes for this upcoming season. My name is Dan, and I'm joined by the big dog, Luke. It's been a long time, brother.
It's been a long time, as one player used to say before going to jail.
Woo!
How you been?
I've been good. I've been healthy. I've been COVID-free up in my household.
You never caught
punting
it.
like an animal. What about you?
The opposite, actually. COVID positive. Did you
Paid
never
you a
catch
visit?
COVID?
No, I'm immune.
Wow. I'm at the point now where don't obviously talk about this too much because it's people are over it, but I know more people that have had it that haven't had it. So you're the minority now.
Yeah, look, if you can clearly see me, I've been the minority for my whole life.
Yeah, true.
No, I ate dirt as a child and therefore COVID-free. Never had it. Been close to it many times, but never got a symptom. Just unstoppable. But outside of COVID, what's been happening? It's been a couple of months since we last spoke on the potty.
No, it has. Not a lot's changed. Punting here and there, losing still more often. Looking forward to the NRL season. I must say that's probably where we've had most success. Premier League's been a bit rough this season. There's been a lot of delays and COVID game stoppages and things like that. So looking forward to some footy to rip in. So
Damn straight. I've been going hard on the NBA. Still tracking my bets. I think I've gone quite well so far in 2022. About 143 units up in the last 6 weeks. So this year.
that's huge.
So a very profitable month in Jan. February's going to look even better. I've refined my strategies. Discord's popping off. And everything we do is for free. So can't complain. We hit a recent milestone of over 500 Discord members. So we're growing quick. And the NRL and AFL season hasn't even started yet. So we've got big plans for 2022. So look out for that. One of those plans is this podcast. Go on video. So you can see the heads behind the name.
So if you ever see me and want to rip in, you can yell at me in public. More than happy.
Uppercuts only.
Yeah, uppercuts only. No coward punches. Do it to my face.
you can coward punch me because I wear glasses and I prefer not to get them broken. So if you do see me, punch me in the back of the head. I'll be ready for it. But I did want to kick things off by talking through the new NRL Premiership rules.
Yep.
There's one rule change which is fairly positive. I can't see a negative behind it. And a couple game day policy amendments. But firstly, the rule change. We're going to see penalties are going to be rewarded instead of set restarts, meaning 6 agains, for any ruck or 10-metre infringements inside the 40-metre zone of the team in possession. So what we would have saw last year, we got the 6 again rule, it did speed up the game, but a lot of the better teams manipulated that rule and were happy to give away penalties in the opposition's 40 just to slow them down, just to get the line set. And it just started to become a joke, really. So I'm really keen to see that change, and I can't see a bad thing for it. The penalty gets awarded, kick downfield. Like, you're going to regret those types of infringements, you know what I mean? But what do you think about it?
Yeah, I think it's a positive rule. I felt though, like at the end of the season, the difference between the good teams, the bad teams, the good teams started doing it sooner. I think by the end of the season, every team was doing it. So this is a rule that I don't think is going to, all of a sudden, the Bulldogs are going to be amazing because of the rule change. I still think the good teams are going to be the beneficiaries of it because they earn the penalty anyway, so they'll get down the field.
They'll be looking for them.
They will be, and I think if you look at those strong teams from last year, like your South, Penrith, Melbourne, Parramatta, Manly teams, Tommy Turbo or something, you're giving Manly a clean set of 6 starting on the halfway line, attacking a line. That's very daunting. So, I think they're the teams that will still earn them. So, I think it's a good rule. I think teams won't be giving away deliberate penalties because I think that still was a concern. That was the reason why they brought the rule in, more because of inside your own 10-metre line defending your line. You just continually laid down until you got a set line. But I think it's a smart choice. So
I think we're going to see the attacking teams milking it now, taking advantage of this rule. So I can see attacking players just trying to milk the ruck infringements. They'll be grabbing on, getting tangled. They'll be milking those. But I also think the good teams, I think the number 9 is going to be very important. So what they do with the markers.
Yeah.
Because now, last year, if you catch a marker not square, you just get a 6 again.
Yeah.
Now, if you catch a marker not square inside your own 40, that's a penalty straight away.
Yeah.
So those number 9s are going to be very valuable, especially the running ones. So I think that's going to be a very interesting aspect of the game this season. Unfortunately, my boys don't have a great 9. So
well, we're losing ours at the end of this year, so off to the Tigers.
You
but
don't
I don't know. I don't know if he's vaccinated yet. I haven't heard about that, but he's training, so I'm assuming he got around it.
Have you seen what Tamalolo's doing with his vaccinations?
No.
Or not doing? He's just blowing up about it. He's refusing to talk about it. It's like, I'm not getting it done and I'm not telling you why. It's like, that's helpful.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm not like Novak, but...
I only paid you $1 million a year. It's fine.
Let's put more pressure on Todd Payton.
He's not willing to cooperate at all. But I guess the other 3 amendments. We've got team list announcements. So to complete the addition of the 18th player rule introduced last season, team announcements on Tuesday, they'll increase to 21 to 22 players. Nothing major. You just see an extra name on there that probably won't play. The free interchange, this is quite a big change. It's only going to be granted in instances of foul play where the offending player is sin binned or sent off. So free interchange will no longer apply when players are placed on report.
I think this is the biggest rule change.
Yeah, because people were milking that, right?
Well, yeah, they cop a penalty, but then just quick sub off, rotate your bench.
Yeah.
That I'd love to know. I don't know what the stats off the top of my head, but I'd love to know how many free interchanges we used last season going forward now would it be, because there isn't. If you think about it, how many players have sin been sent off? Then you're looking at a free interchange rarely. Like they're pretty bad, and usually if they're sin bin or send off, the player's not coming back anyway. That's a HIA 99% of the time, so they get off anyway for free interchange, and they're done. So
no, I think that's a fair penalty. We'll see what happens. The NRL, since the Saints taken over, it kind of can change mid-season, right? It's not like this is going to be locked in. Anything can happen. He's God. He'll make changes whenever he wants. And the last one is injury stoppages. So with the exception of head injuries, only a referee, touch judge, or the bunker will be permitted to stop play for an injury. Trainers will retain the ability to stop play where a head injury has occurred. Medical trainers will continue to have unlimited access to the field at any time to treat an injured player. So we won't see those Penrith trainers getting on... Someone's rolled his ankle, stop the game. Ref, stop it.
There's still some salty Para fans out there, hey. I can't believe it. But yeah, it's a Penrith. They call it the Penrith rule.
Yeah.
But every team do it. Just, again, the better teams are just better at doing it. So
yeah. It's all about timing and everything like that. So I agree.
Again, it makes sense. That makes sense. But you'll quickly see with these rules, we talk about how they make sense. Someone will figure out a loophole and they'll exploit. Like it's been from day dot. Any rule they bring in, teams find a way around it and how to make it work. So,
and that's why the great coaches get paid so much. Like Bellamy can figure out a way around this. Trent Robinson will figure out a way. I'm sure Cleary will figure out a way. I can't see Kevin Walters figuring out shit. Like I can still see him in training this week saying, "Put up the bomb for Coates. Put it up for X," and he's not even there anymore. Doesn't even know his own personnel. I can see that happening. Just making that mistake. But no, I'm pretty keen. All those changes, I think, are positive. I don't have any grief with any of them. So hopefully that makes for more. And exciting, I think
it also for the refs as well. It's not like a crazy rule change that they've had to like. It's literally just interpretation. If they think it's a penalty, and they're inside that 4. Just blow the whistle.
Yeah,
it's not a drastic change.
They're not assessing anything different.
Yeah, so the way they police it is going to be the exact same. It's just because that was the big thing last year. They changed halfway through how they police a head high tackle. All of a sudden, things were getting called left, right, and centre, and that's what caused the uproar. Earlier in this last season, 2 seasons back, the 6 again rule came in, and all of a sudden they found that they were calling more things that they should have, and they were trigger happy on the 6 agains, and then that slowed down. So the refs don't have to change what they do. It's just the result of what they find just changes slightly. So,
yeah, I know what you mean. Almost ruined our great game, but thankfully we pulled through. COVID couldn't stop us. Rule changes couldn't stop us. It's all happening. You ready to rip into this NRL All-Stars game?
Oh, can't wait. Looking forward to this game.
So this game, it kicks off. That's on Saturday, right?
Correct.
Saturday, 8:10, Combank Stadium in Sydney. What's Combank Stadium? What did that used to be?
That's the Bank West, I believe.
Oh, is it?
I
Switch
believe.
banks, the bastards.
Yeah, I'm almost certain it's. Yeah, definitely Bank West, Parramatta. Yeah,
Jeez. So it's just around the corner from me.
yeah.
But I don't feel like...
Change of
Yeah.
banks.
Yeah. I'd go, but I don't feel like getting bashed. So I'm probably going to stay home and watch it that way. So I'd get coward punch for sure. But exciting game. We've got the Maori versus the Indigenous All Stars. Both teams have named a relatively strong lineup. But whilst doing my research, I happened to look into last year's teams. Now, last year's teams were
They
stacked.
were very good teams.
They were good teams. Heaps better than the teams that we're going to see this weekend.
Yeah.
All the big guns are out. Like, check out just the spine in last year's. For the Indigenous All Stars, you've got Latrell at fullback, Cody Walker at 6, Fogarty at 7. They got Ruben Cotter at 9. The Maori All Stars have Nickel Clockstad, Jerome Luai, Jerome Hughes, and Brandon Smith.
That's a stacked spine.
Stacked, right? They're big names everywhere. Like, these are your top liners. This year, not so much. But one thing I do find interesting for this game is just the odds. So the Maori All Stars are at $3, outsiders. Indigenous All Stars at $1.40, and I'm looking at the trends, and money's coming in for the Indigenous All Stars. The Maori All Stars is just blowing out, and it keeps blowing out a little bit further. So they opened on the 2nd of Feb at $2.50, and they've basically blown out 10 cents a day. So they're over $3 now. It's pretty crazy. Line 7.5, 8.5, depending on what bookie you look at. Looking through the team list at the moment, I guess to summarise this, the Indigenous All Stars have more strike. Their backline does appear to be more dangerous. The Maori All Stars have a much better forward pack, and you could even argue a better interchange match. So without going through every single person, that's what stands out to me. What in the lineups stand out to you?
Yeah, you basically summed it up. And I think why the public are, if you look at like just following the news and everything, I don't think I've seen anything on the Maori team come on the news where I've seen the Indigenous players around and about and out at schools, and Laurie Daly bringing in Latrell's brother made news and things like so all the talk and everything has been around the Indigenous team. So I think the public, that's why it's drifting. The public money is just coming in for it. So that's always what you always want to fade the public. Like that's in betting. That's you fade the public. You're more favourable there. So if I look at the two teams, backlines obviously you'd give it to the Indigenous side, but their halves Nico Hines and Braden Trindle. This is Nico Hines has a lot of expectations. I think rightly so. He played well last year, but he was in a very
Melbourne Storm.
very good Melbourne.
We say this all the time,
and we talk about this all the time. Halves leave, and Bellamy, they don't let players go, especially playmakers, unless they're at either over their peak or they're not what they're going to be touted up to be. Because I know they have Hughes and Munster in the halves, but if Nico Hines was that good and that much potential, Melbourne would do whatever they could to fit him in that team. Whether it's, it's what's having Brandon Smith going, they would have found a way to make it work. And he's got a lot of pressure on him. Now he's playing every game he's going to play. He's not playing in a team nowhere near, even though Cronulla have recruited well and Fitzy's there, he's not playing in a system in a team like he has ever. Brodie Croft, the same thing. Brodie Croft made the grand final, a grand final halfback. Went to Brisbane, could barely crack that team. That team couldn't even make the 8. So, and they talk about expect pressure and stuff. Melbourne Storm have a lot of pressure on them, just as much as Brisbane in my eyes. So, him in the halves with Trindle, so the Cronulla halves, that'll suit them. But the Maori team also have the Warriors halves in Chanel Harris-Tavita and Cody Nikorima, obviously depending on what Sean Johnson does.
But they have played a lot of games together.
They have played quite a lot of games together. But then the forward pack, if you just look at their stats, like Tarpanay, Fisher Harris, Kenny Bromwich, Jazz Tavanga, like it's stacked, up against Andrew Fafita, who literally just was in a coma last time he played a game of football. How fit is he going to be? I know, and again, this is another reason, like I'm reading stories, he's grateful, he's excited. This is again all the stories, all the talk coming out about the Indigenous team.
narrative.
Yep, the narrative's there, whereas the Maoris are slowly going under the radar, doing their own thing. Tyrell Fuimano can't even keep a gig at any club he goes to. He struggles to make the starting team, yet alone
suspended every 6 weeks.
Couldn't even crack Penrith 17. Josh Curran I rate, he'll be good. David
good.
Fafita, good player, but again, if you look at the
When he wants to
benches,
be.
that's the difference. Will Smith, Albert Kelly, taking up 2 of your bench spots in that Indigenous team, and I know they'll come on and do a job, but if they're going to play in the forwards, they're going to struggle. So they've left themselves a bit light on the bench, and looking at their reserves, a similar story. So I don't see that bench changing much. Whereas I think the Maori side there with, Rabadi, Proctor, even Isan Masters, a bigger body as well.
3 forwards. Masters is a big forward off the bench, but then they've got Dylan Walker in the side, and he'll fill any one of those.
Yeah, he'll slide into a utility spot. He can play an edge back. He can play, that role now. He's bulked up a bit. So I like the Maori squad 1-17. That's why I will take them and I'll bet them. I think head to head they're value, but I take the line. If you go 8.5, you get them at about $1.83 at the moment on sports bet. I think take the 8.5 instead of 7.5. But I think if you just wait anyway, I think this line is going to keep drifting. A couple of days, you probably get 8.5 at $1.90. The only thing is you got to be careful with these games because they are exhibition games. But in the last couple, both sides have really put a lot of, they want to win it, as opposed to when Indigenous played the NRL All-Stars.
Yes.
Because in the NRL All-Stars, that team had to be made up of like one player from each club, and I think that was kind of a showcase game and not an exhibition, I should say.
Yeah.
Whereas this game, I think they're playing for a lot, like pride in their jersey and everything. So, yeah, it's the way I see it. How are you seeing it in terms of betting? Do you have anything you like on it?
I guess I'm leaning towards the Maoris as well. I see the same things that you see. I do see them covering the line. I see this game being very close. I honestly think the odds should be $1.90 each, $1.90 each in this game.
Yeah,
because it's the first game of the year for these guys. A lot of them aren't going to be 100% in terms of match fitness.
No,
and the Indigenous side doesn't have heaps of forwards, and they don't have quality forwards. Like Ryan James at his best is not at match fitness. You know what I mean? And neither is David Fafita. Like, I think his future is an impact player off the bench. Like, that's how you get the best out of him. Like, I don't think he's going to be able to play 80 minutes. And if he does, he's not going to be great. Whereas these Maori guys, a lot of them have played together many times before. And if you look at that team, it's very clear what everybody's role is, not just their position. You can look at their team and you already know how every single player is going to play. Whereas this Indigenous team, I don't see how it all... I don't know how it's going to make sense. I don't know how they're going to put it all together. They do have the strike out wide, but is the ball going to get there? Are they going to go forward first? Like, those are the question marks that I have. So I see it being a close game, like a 16-12, 18-12 at most. And either side could win it. So I'm with you by taking the Maori team on the line. But what I'm most hot on is the total points. So Ladbrokes has the totals for this game at the moment. The line for total points is set at 47. Right? 47 points is pretty high for an NRL game. But especially a game like this, start of the year, a lot of they don't have great attacking systems. So the other thing I looked into is the history of the NRL All-Stars games. So there's been 10 All-Star games in 12 years. There were 2 years where it was taken off.
Yeah.
And from those 10 games, only 2 have gone over 47 points. Last year's match was a draw, 10-all. So it's closely contested, well under.
Yeah.
And what we've seen since they've switched it to Maoris and the Indigenous, there's a lot more pride in the jersey. So I can't see them just letting in all these types of tries. The other thing is there's a real lack of strike in the spine in each team. There's probably only 2 solid players within each spine. And I also see both teams being evenly matched. So I don't think it'd be a try fest. So for this one, I wouldn't even touch any try scorers. That was going to be my next thing I asked you. But for me, I'm not comfortable for a try.
No. And also on that point, if you look at both lineups, you look at the Indigenous lineup, a lot of these players struggled to keep a first grade spot last season. Hammer even struggled. Brent Naden couldn't crack. I know it was Penrith and they were stacked. He couldn't get in that team. Fafita was in and out. Like Ryan James was injured. Tyrell Fuimano struggled. Will
Even
Smith.
Trindle, it's as if they didn't want to play Trindle. It's just
No, exactly. Will
Shaun
Smith.
Johnson was out.
Will Smith was only in because of injury. Like they really,
Yeah.
a lot of these players, whilst a lot of them are at clubs now where they probably will get a run, they couldn't get a first grade gig last
Yeah.
year. Whereas that
Ryan
Maori
James got
team,
rented out to the Bulldogs.
he did.
He got rented
He
out.
did exactly.
Yeah.
Like whereas if you look at that Maori team, if you take their 1 to 13, all of them played first grade week in week out. Like there wasn't a period where they dropped players. Even Morgan Harper. Morgan
Yeah.
Harper is probably their worst player. He played centre every single week for Manly. He could still get a centre spot. That team literally plays first grade week in. That other team, the Indigenous team, couldn't. They have some amazing strike, but I agree. I like the unders in that game, that bet too, because again, I don't know the time of year. There's something to maybe look at, but I feel there's from what I know, there's been no first grade trial games played yet at all. So it's literally these guys' first run. Whereas I think previous years they might have played a trial game or two at least, maybe before for their clubs before they come into it. Because this is literally the first run for a lot of them. I think that's why a lot of these players aren't available for it. Like Jerome Luai, he's training, he's fine, but he's not playing, so it's probably match fitness, So
Joey Manu, Roosters said he's not allowed to play.
Yeah, but like say Fisher Harris, they've given permission Penrith to, but not Jerome Luai. So for me, it's a fitness thing because they wouldn't allow Fisher Harris and Jerome Luai not to when Fisher Harris not as more important, but if there's someone who's going to get bashed around on Saturday night, it's going to be him. Whereas they got to go to Luai. Listen, just pass the ball, mate. Don't run. Just tell him that's what they could go out there with.
Yeah. It's interesting. All right, well, you heard it here first. We like the unders, and we like the Maori side to cover the line. We're avoiding try scorers because you'd be fucking crazy to pick one.
It's honestly, it could be.
Don't get trapped into jumping on the Fox. Everyone's going to jump on the Fox. Then we're going to see all these things like, I missed my multi because he didn't score. It's like he's not playing for Melbourne in this game.
Yeah, right? He's not. Again, this is what he's going to get used to at the Bulldogs. So we're going to get to see a different Fox this time.
We do. So unders, Maori team on the line. Now we're done with betting. We're done with the preview for this match on the weekend. I need to run off some of my favourite footballers right now. I did speak to you not too long ago. Ran into a few at Star City Casino.
Oh, you did too. Yes, the fight night.
I guess for any of those listeners who made it this far, I just want to hear a young man dribble. I'm about to dribble because I was starstruck at first, and then I just got amongst the lads, and then it became one of them. So I scored some free tickets to the Paul Gallen fight not too long ago in December, Star City Casino. The card had a lot of ex-football players, current football players, most notably best centre ever alive, not named Greg Inglis, Justin Hodges. One of my loves. So I got in, found out that front row seat was fantastic, right at the front.
You could see you on main event.
You could.
We could spot you from a mile away.
Yep.
If
you have no life to live.
Is that Vegas, that fight, that famous person, that was you. Like you could see behind the ropes. Yeah.
If you've got no life to live, you go back, you buy it on main event again, or you stream it, and you'll see me sitting right at the front, trading some words with a couple famous people. Had the corporate box there, free beers, free food. It was all happening. Sit down. First person I sit next to, Joey Leilua. And I was like, fuck, this guy's sitting right next to me. So then I started speaking to him.
That bloke that plays second division in Super League. Set up a good try the other morning. Did you see that flick pass?
No, I haven't been following it. But
very good. He got injured, but it was very good.
You could feel the energy coming off this bloke, and he was dead set, real keen on just taking somebody's head off that night. Him or his missus, I don't know where the energy was coming from, but I could feel it.
His missus was coming in hot too.
Yeah. But him, great bloke. It was a great encounter. Might have given a few tips on boxing, bit of his hustles. He implemented it, got the win. So good on him. So that was fantastic. Not long after that, sat right next to Cody Walker. I was like, this is crazy. Cody, we're very similar size. If anything, I'm heavier than he is. So just as an FYI to you. Great bloke. Took a couple selfies. Didn't want to talk to me, but that was fine. Didn't have to. Still nice. Still a nice bloke. Straight
Still,
after him.
he would have been a bit down still. It was a couple months on from throwing that
Yeah,
pass. So.
yeah, and it probably didn't help that I was talking to him about Reynolds leaving.
Yeah, that's another sore point for him again.
Yeah, but I was happy to talk about it because I'm basically picking him up. So
Yeah, true.
yeah, he didn't want to talk about that, but so be it. Then after him, look to my right, 3 seats down, Tim Zoo. Tim Zoo's just sitting there, he's chilling, no one's bothering him. So I swapped seats with the person sitting right next to him, just so I could talk to him. Nice bloke, nice bloke. Not very big. Didn't feel not intimidating at all. He was happy to talk. 2 hours later, not happy to talk to me, but I had free beer, spirits, all that type of stuff. But got a nice selfie with.
You'd say he's not
Tim.
big, but I reckon if you were in the ring looking opposite, he'd look a lot bigger, and you'd go, "Oh shit!" Like,
Yeah. Look, I'm a coward. Everyone looks big on the other side of the ring to me. So, but Tim
but you
Zoo was
also
awesome.
started at BJ Lelua, so your
Yeah.
guide at that point was a giant.
Yeah.
And you got gradually
Yeah.
lighter as you went through.
Well, the thing is, BJ actually wasn't that big. He felt smaller. I thought he would be a lot bigger, but he wasn't. He's, probably a bit smaller than you. Now I think about it. Obviously, a lot more intimidating with the way he looks, but yeah, he's smaller than you.
Yeah.
But I tell you who is big, my guy, Justin Hodges. He was the biggest man I saw that night. And Toby Rudolph was there. I hung out with Toby Rudolph, who's one of my favorites. But Justin Hodges is bigger than him.
Wow.
Which is crazy. That bloke from South with the chin, what's his name? Fuck, I forgot his name.
Campbell Graham. Oh no, Campbell Knight, Liam Knight.
Not Liam Knight, yeah. He was there. He's pretty big, but not as big as Justin Hodges. But he was a good bloke. Jai Arrow was there. Not my favourite person. I did yell Queenslander in his face, but everything that happened after that, I didn't deserve. He was just, he was too drunk and too out there. But yeah, no, Toby was fantastic. Gave me a lot of chances to talk to him, and he really participated in the banter. So he really let me in. Paul Gallen, got to meet Gal after the fight. He was pretty much what you see. He was very serious. He was respectful.
Yeah.
You could tell he didn't want a piece of you. He was just doing it because he felt like he had to.
Yeah, it was payday for him. So
yeah, he got paid. He just wanted to leave. Satili Tupanua, he's just under Toby Rudolph, mate. He was excellent. He was so nice.
Was there anyone there that wasn't a rugby league player? Sounds like you just named
Tyson Pedro, in the UFC. He was nice.
He's fighting him soon, actually.
Yeah. Bam Bam not there, unfortunately. I met who else? I hung out with Jeff Fennick for a couple of hours at the Star, straight after. Wow. Uncle Jeff, he's asked me to call him, and that I will. Very nice bloke. That's all I will say. And I can't wait to meet him again. Who else was there? Joey Manu, not playing in the All Stars game, but I did see him. He is huge. He's a big guy. Boy. He's big, and he doesn't say a word. He doesn't speak. Like, I think when Latrell broke his face, that was the only time he's ever spoken on in his life.
Yeah, true.
Because he wasn't saying nothing. Even as I was watching him, everyone having a couple of drinks. But yeah, I was just running into them all night, non-stop. Can I tell you something embarrassing?
Go on.
Justin Hodges was the main one that I really wanted to meet. So I was cheering him on. I was basically in his corner during the fight. He wins the fight. I go up to the corporate box, get another drink, having a drink. I'm in there talking to Toby Rudolph. I go to Toby, when are you going to get in there? I go, you fucking smash anyone. And he goes, yeah, I fucking will. He goes, why don't you get in there? I go, I don't want to fucking smash you, mate. That's what we're basically bantering about. So it was a good conversation. But then I came back to the seats and everyone's like, where did you go? And I was like, I was with fucking Toby Rudolph up in the box. Like, Justin Hodges just came over to say hi and take photos with everyone. Straight after his fight. Like, he didn't even have a shirt on yet. It was like still sweat and gas. And I was like, oh, I missed it. So I was a bit devo. But after party kicks off, we go into the Star. We're lining up to get into the sports bar.
Yeah.
And Justin Hodges is standing right behind me. This giant of a man, right? Me, being the biggest fanboy, plus the early disappointment in the night, I see him and I go to shake his hand, and instead I pull out and I hug him instead. Oh. And I hugged him like a child hugging their parents. I hugged him, and then he was like, "What the fuck?" And then I was so embarrassed, I just walked off. And then I didn't speak to him for the rest of the night. I full killed it. I think he will remember that.
You know, like his
And
post, he's a few years retired now. I think if he was in his playing career, he probably would have gone piss off. But I reckon he might have liked the hug. I already
he
likes
might
people
have,
remembering. He might have liked
yeah.
it.
Well, he was in Sydney, right?
He was
We're probably
hugging.
not getting many hugs in Sydney.
He was hugging Heinzen all night in that fight. So no, not Heinzen. Heinzen fought BJ Lua. Who did he fight? Who did he beat? No, no, he lost. Didn't he lose to? I have to look it up. But the Ross dog.
Yeah, the Ross dog.
Yeah, they hugged it out. They did hug it out that night.
Oh, they were gassed.
But it was funny. It was funny how Georgie Rose put up the 20 grand or whatever, trying to do the old Dana White Eddie Hearn. I love him. I'm telling you what, Georgie Rose would be killing it, putting up the money on knockout of the night, and there was just nothing. That strongest man bloke tripped and got disqualified. Like the one fight, I thought there's going to be some kill each other.
That sounded like a wrestling match. The ring was just bouncing. Like crazy.
Yeah.
That fight was on when I got there. That was just bouncing all over the place. That was pretty awesome. But because you mentioned Georgie Rose, I actually spoke to him as well. I was just, about 10, 12 beers deep by then at the after party. So I grabbed him. He's wearing his suit. I grabbed his shoulder while he's waiting for a drink, and he turns around. I was like, George. Introduced myself. I'm Dan. I'm George's nephew. Yada yada yada. We're talking. Told him I enjoyed the night. I go, George, seriously, what's it going to take for me to get on one of your cards? And he goes, you fight? I was like, no. I can't fight and I'm not famous. So what's it going to take? He said, just those two things. And I was like, I'll work on it. I'll get back to you. So hopefully this podcast, this Daft Previews brand, that this blows up and eventually gets to the point where I could fight, another podcaster.
Georgie Rose goes, hang on, we've got something.
You know what I mean? How good that be? I'm not going to fight Dennis Kemp. He looks like he takes his boxing seriously.
Yeah.
That's the guy. I'll fight the bloke on tripod for charity or whatever. I'll give him a couple of rounds.
There you go.
I reckon that'd be paid $1.90.
That's a call out there. We'll call it.
I do love the tripod though. Shout out to them. But yeah, that's just something I wanted to share on my recent encounters with rugby league royalty, boxing legends.
Good story.
That
was the night I caught COVID. There's my side of that story, by the way. I was out. The next 2 days later, I was positive. So that was the night that I got it. So
fucking wrecked. Well, the good thing not a good thing. One thing with COVID is a lot of Discord members who are going to be listening to this actually got COVID. Some still absolutely getting buckled for it now. You know who you are if you're listening to it. I don't even think they got COVID. I think it was the vaccination. And this guy's been fucked up for months since that vaccination. Like, the very rare cases where there's a side effect, this bloke happened to get it, and he's just in and out of hospital still. But still punting.
That's the main thing. I think that's your life support machine. Now, the heart rate.
Yeah.
Just check your sports bet. You're active, mate. You're good. You're good. Yep. You're live. As soon as that betting stops, fucking CPR and everything's happening.
Yeah. Straight up. Look, other than that, I've got no more stories to tell. It is getting quite late, so let's wrap this son of a bitch up. It's been an absolute pleasure to do this with you once again. For everybody listening, hope you enjoyed this. Bet you're a bit surprised to see what we look like. Jump in the Discord if you haven't. We got tips every single day. I think looking at January, our 5 premium tippers combined were over 300 units in profit. And this is completely free. I kid you not.
And it'll stay that way.
There's no premium. You don't have to pay for nothing. Just jump in, get amongst it if you're not already. If everybody listening, watching, thank you. Appreciate all your support. But let's get it, boy.
Peace.